Welcome back, everyone, to The Unwritten Life, our story with Claire through the tarot. So, what we're doing is we're actually learning the tarot through story form. So, Claire, in our last episode, was standing at a crossroads. Do I stay or do I go? Do I leave this old life behind and take a chance? Something she's thought about for such a long time, but she finally made that move. So let's pick it up in her new place. So the last box smelled faintly of stale coffee and old anxieties. Claire pushed it against the wall of her new apartment. A shoebox in the sky with a staggering view of a brick wall across the alley. This was it, her new life, New York City. The freedom, however, felt less like soaring and more like teetering on a very high ledge. She plugged in her kettle, the low hum of a comforting counterpoint to the city's distant roar. Proper cup of tea, a moment of peace. Well, that's when the drip started. Not a gentle, a light drip, but a frantic, insistent clink, clink, clink from the ceiling above her kitchenette. Claire stands up, her heart sinking faster than the water pooling on her cracked linoleum floor. It's escalating quickly from drips to a steady stream, then a gush like a weeping faucet somewhere in the apartment above. Ah, for crying out loud, she muttered, scrambling for that single pot that she had unpacked. The water was cold, then lukewarm, then a shocking ice spray. It wasn't just a pipe. It felt like the entire plumbing system of this ancient building was having a full-blown meltdown right above her head. Panic, cold and sharp, seized her. This was exactly it, wasn't it? The universe's twisted way of telling me that I made a mistake. I swapped one kind of suffocation for another, a leaky, expensive, utterly helpless kind. Just when she thought she was free, the ceiling was quite literally caving in. A loud, thumping crash from above made her jump, followed by a guttural roar. Are you kidding me? Before Claire could even process what was happening, her apartment door, which she hadn't quite locked yet, burst open. Standing there, silhouetted against the dim hallway light, was a man who looked just like he had wrestled a bear, or, in this case, burst a pipe. His dark hair was plastered to his forehead, his t-shirt soaked through, and his eyes, dark and intense, flashed with raw frustration. He was broad-shouldered, radiating an energy that felt both dangerous and oddly electric. He pointed a dripping finger at her ceiling. You're below me, right? It's the stack. I've been telling them for months. It's the tower, isn't it? He mumbled, more to himself than to her. His voice was a low growl. He didn't wait for an answer, striding right past her, already surveying the damage with the grim expertise of someone familiar with sudden disasters. He found her ancient mop and bucket without asking, already barking instructions. Get towels everywhere and call Gary now. Wow. Claire, still clutching her teacup, stared. This wasn't the welcoming committee she imagined. This was raw, immediate, and utterly overwhelming. But as she scrambled for towels, a strange thought surfaced. At least I'm not alone. For the first time since she had left her old life behind, a faint tremor of something other than fear ran through her. This man, this force of nature, had just barged into her life, bringing chaos, yes, but also a strange, undeniable presence. He was her unexpected, unwelcome, terrifying, yet utterly necessary tower. The next morning, the tower man, who introduced himself simply as Leo, was still a hurricane, but a more focused one. He was up in his apartment directly above Claire's, patching that angry hole in his bathroom ceiling when the building's actual maintenance guy, a bewildered man named Gary, muttered, "Old pipes and budget cuts." Leo, however, seemed to move with a fierce, almost artistic approach. Claire, still a little shaky, heard the clang of tools, the sharp scent of plaster dust, and Leo's surprisingly clear instructions shouted down to Gary. When she ventured upstairs with an offering of coffee, a small, nervous peace offering, she found him sketching intently on a large pad of paper amidst the drywall dust and tools. "Thinking about how to reinforce this whole section," he explained without looking up. "Not just a patch, a proper fix." His hands, though grimy, moved with a surprising grace as he drew intricate diagrams. It's all about understanding the structure. Everything's connected. He wasn't just fixing a pipe. He was engineering a solution. He had an innate understanding of how things worked, how to take elements such as pipes, plaster, frustrated tenants, and bring them together into something functional. He moved with a quiet confidence, his eyes sharp, observing every detail. He talked about angles and pressures, about manifesting the right support beams as if the building itself was a giant, stubborn puzzle he was determined to solve. Later that week, Claire saw Leo again, not in the hallway this time, but through the window of a small, cluttered storefront a few blocks away. The sign above read, "Leo's Odds and Ends, Repurposed Goods and Practical Magic." Inside, he wasn't fixing a pipe, but meticulously repairing a broken antique clock. His strong fingers handling those tiny little gears. He looked up, catching her eye, and gave her a brief, almost shy nod. Claire found herself drawn inside. The shop was a treasure trove of reclaimed wood, vintage tools, and objects that seemed to hum with forgotten stories. Leo, wiping grease from his hands with a rag, was discussing a custom-built bookshelf with a customer, talking about joinery and balance with the same intense focus he had given the pipe. He wasn't just skilled, he was a creator, seeing potential where others saw junk, making order out of chaos. "Everything has a purpose," he said, holding up a gleaming polished wrench. "You just have to know how to use it." He looked at her then, his gazing pierce. "What are you trying to build, Claire?" Wow. The question hung in the air, unexpected and profound. Claire thought of her blank walls, her empty schedule, her desires, she suddenly realized that Leo, with his ability to mend, to create, to manifest solutions, was her unexpected magician. He didn't offer spells, but he offered something more tangible. The example of someone who took raw materials and shaped them into something new, something strong, something real. And standing in his shop, surrounded by pieces of old lives being made new again, Claire felt a surprising surge of inspiration. She wasn't just patching up old wounds, she could build something entirely different. And this is where we leave chapter 2. We'll pick it back up in chapter 3, The Quiet Light in the Bookstore. I thank you guys. I hope you're enjoying learning tarot through story form. I myself am thoroughly enjoying it. So I thank you. And thank you for joining me. I'll see you in chapter 3. Bye bye.